Girls can get friend-zoned too. Women of Reddit, share your stories. In my experience, a solid majority of males are oblivious to hints that chicks think are blatantly obvious. I was talking to my boyfriend the other day about before we got together, and a lot of the things I did to try and let him know I was mega into him weren't even noticed. In the end, a simple "I'm into you. We should go out" does the trick really well. One of my good friends had left for the army. I know how lonely you can feel in the military. So I decided to drop over $500 to go halfway across America to a shit-tie city in Georgia that is basically the first level of hell, one tumbleweed-filled mall, a few fast food restaurants, and my hotel. It was awful and humid, but it was worth it to see him. Just for a few days. We'd been friends since middle school. He was there when my boyfriend broke my heart. I was there when his girlfriend did the same. It was a beautiful friendship. Really. And people often made comments about us being a couple. I kinda got sucked into the thought, to be honest. Anyways, I go to a shit-y city in Georgia to spend just a few days with him. We have a sweet running reunion jump hug combo. He shows me off to a few of his army friends, and get shakes and burgers together at this old-fashioned ma and pa diner. The next day all we do is cuddle and laugh. We held hands through the she-tie one-horse mall. He helped me pick out a cute summer dress. I even initiated a kiss or two. It was like AF King movie. It was beautiful. I even wrote a poem that night. I was so inspired by the overflow of emotions. A few months later he comes back home. I invited him over to have a Skyrim party with a few friends. Denied. Oh. Invited him to go to dinner. Nope. Okay. Hang out, watch movies and cuddle, make hot cocoa, drive by high five? Nada. Nothing. Zip. I didn't get to see him for about 2 months and he lived right down the road. Turns out his ex who was dating his best friend while he was gone told him to stop hanging out with me. And after I asked him about it I got the classic "we make better friends than a couple anyways." Haha. FC King FCK. How can you turn down an invitation to a Skyrim party made by a girl? Oh. This guy would come over to my house and insist on cuddling and watching movies the whole time. Would keep me up all night on the phone because he slept better when he could hear my voice. Would send me good morning texts. And hold my hand whenever the opportunity presented itself. Then told his best friend that he wished I would just get over it. Single quote. He sounds like a douchebag who leads people on to make himself feel better. I hope he's not in your life anymore. Had the biggest crush on my friend in college. I'd invite him over to study several times. Imagine Cher in Clueless with the hair tossing and the rolling off the bed. Nothing ever came of it. And I thought he just missed the signals. A couple years later, drunk at a New Year's party, I confessed what I thought was my big secret. He admitted that he knew all along and had deftly avoided my advances. Embarrassing for all involved. Weirdest ever. I had been hanging out with this guy for almost a year. He liked me and I liked him. I went over his house once for his birthday. We went to his room and made out a little. The door was cracked and in came his dog. The dog then started to growl and bite my ankles. A week later I asked if he wanted to be more than friends. He said exact quote, "We can't date. My dog hates you. I am afraid he might hurt you. I hope we can stay friends. I like you but I love my dog." Friend zoned by AF King Dog. I kept getting friend zoned by this guy that I liked and had been friends with for about 3 years. Feelings didn't start right away. I got vibes from him, or so what I thought were vibes. One night we were both wasted and we ended up sleeping together. I thought to myself, OMG, this is it, he's gonna tell me he has feelings for me too. He ends up telling me that he's gay and that he was trying to force something that wasn't there. But after the drunk encounter he realized that he wasn't even sex ally attracted to girls. This really was the best outcome as we're now best friends and he found himself in the process. Fall hard for boy. Spend a collective 2 months in a casual fling, spread over 5 months. He serenades me. A few days later he tells me he wants to get back with his ex. Whatever. Get over him, mostly. All is well. Then 6 months later, he calls me and tells me he needs someone to talk to. I, of course, go with him. He drives me around while ranting about his, once again, ex-girlfriend. We drive past a place where, apparently, They had sex in the parking lot and tells me all about it. He spends about 2 hours telling me why he's crazy about this girl and why she pisses him off. Then he takes me home and never talks to me again. Yai. This is the story of my life. Except he does drive me round. He just comes groveling back. I, unbeknownst to him, am giving him a second chance, and suddenly a couple months later he stops text ringing and I go out to the bar that I work at. And he's there on the dance floor with his tongue down some girl's throat. The main question I end up asking myself usually is, what's that girl got that I don't? A guy once walked me home in order to ask for my friend's phone number. The last couple weeks I've been on 5 to 6 dates with this guy. A cop I've known for years. Yesterday he texts me, "I'm really enjoying hanging out with you. I know we're not BF/GF material, but I can see us being great friends." Today, he asked me out for lunch and told me about the date he had last night. He told me it wasn't a romantic date. Just a friend date like what we do. Yup. I'm pretty sure I'm friend zoned. 5 to 6 dates? Jesus. God damn. I keep reading these stories. And for some reason keep hoping it will end out okay. Disney hasn't prepared me for this. This sorta goes along with this thread. I totally friend zoned this girl in high school. I'd gone to elementary and middle school with her as well. And she was always sort of the weird girl out of the girly girl group. She wasn't chubby. But she wasn't skinny either. Anyway, fast forward 2 years. She's plays the trombone in the high school band and has one of her friends give me this note asking me to the Sadie Hawkins. I said no, mostly because I wasn't planning on going at all. But also because she was just a little out there for my tastes. In college, I met her at a bar once. And she's f***ing gorgeous. Smart. And hilarious. I think ultimately, I lost. We decide in the present situation. Not the future. And what we decide today might change that. I refused a girl, she used me as her motivation to get better. I got refused and now I am using that to get better. It's always a win-win situation. Alright ladies. This is friend zoning. I had a massive crush in high school head over heels. We become friends because I learned on TV that friendship leads to being girlfriend-boyfriend. Curse you 90s romantic comedies that promised the shy quiet loner when applied a montage makeover sequence could get the anything of their dreams. Becomes clear that this person doesn't like me in that way but wants to stay friends. Sucks but cool. I hit on another person almost a year later. And former crush breaks down in tears because they are afraid they will lose me and doesn't like seeing me with other people. Because I'm young and naive I take this for hope that I got a shot. Nope. Next 2 years of constant rebuffs. But the slightest hints I am attracted to anyone else leads to waterworks. That is friend zoning. So, I may or may not have friend zoned a girl a few years ago without realizing it at the time. I worked at an animal hospital when I was in high school. There was one other girl who was my age and we became good friends. Joking around at work. After a few months, rumors started to spread that we liked each other. I laughed them off as my coworkers being nosy. I didn't like her. So, one day she comes up to me and asks me if I'd like to get pizza after work. We hadn't hung out outside of work. So I said sure. It was fun. But at work everyone called it a date. I said it wasn't. That we were just friends. She obviously heard this so she asked if I would like to go on a date with her. I told her I wasn't really looking for a relationship at that time. Right around this time I left the hospital and we drifted apart. I started dating a girl from my school shortly thereafter. A few weeks later I decided to try to talk to the girl at the animal hospital and she is very upset with me. Apparently she had to work up the courage to ask me out for a long time. And the fact that I told her I wasn't looking for anything and started dating someone so soon after hurt her feelings a lot. I've never felt worse. And to be honest, I kind of wish I could go back to take her on a date. She is an awesome girl. I have never been friendzoned before because I'm not pretty or extroverted enough for guys to be my friends. Yay loneliness. I'm glad you posted this. This happened to me all the time until my second year of college, graduated this past spring. The worst one was that I was so in love with my closest male friend in high school. I did end up telling him about 6 months after I met him. But I knew he was after another girl. When that didn't work out. About 3 months later, he acted reciprocal toward me. even telling me he'd like to date me but had some things to work out with himself and his feelings first. Well, fast forward another 3 months and he ends up falling for another girl. About a year into their relationship he tells me while I'm at his brother's birthday with him that there's something about me he finds attractive and would like to investigate that, and also that he never could see himself staying with this girl forever. I never really totally got the hint and move on until after he eventually did marry that girlfriend. They've been divorced for about 2 years now. Lol. A friend of mine in high school knew I was madly in love with him, so he just manipulated me as much as he could to get what he wanted out of me. So yeah. Totally in love with the guy who introduced me to Reddit. He pays for my meals. Cooked me dinner once. Offered to meet my parents the last time he picked me up for dinner. Sounds not so bad, right? Last week we were at a bar with some friends and he brought up the birthday gift I gave him and said, "Yep, she's the greatest friend ever," and tried to give me a high five. I witnessed my own friendzoning moment. Sad face, edit, told him how I felt. Did not get the response I would have hoped for. Cried a bunch. But then I received a month of Reddit gold from Atlantic Prince for doing the right thing. Definitely made me smile. That doesn't sound so bad. Maybe he just doesn't know you're interested, and if you talk to him about it he will be open to it. It sounds like he cares about you a lot. I've had my current job for about 7 months now. I'm a secretary in a doctor's office. It's a bigger office and there are a few doctors there. And one of them has this amazingly hot son who comes in to help out every now and then when he's not in school. He and I became good friends over time. And I inevitably developed feelings for him, which I assumed were mutual, judging by his constant flirting and compliments. So you can imagine my surprise when he pulls me aside one day and asks for my advice because he's planning on proposing to the girlfriend I didn't know existed until that very moment. If I had had balls, they would have shriveled up and crawled back inside. Hello, friend zone, you merciless son of a BTCH. As a guy, I've friend zoned a lot of girls. It happens. If you're not into someone, there's nothing you can do as long as you're honest, which I always am. What kills me though is that I've had a couple of sexual flings that I was very upfront about not wanting anything more than being sexual. And somehow I get labeled an asshole in the end. Don't get me wrong. I've had my fair share of friends with benefits relationships in which I ended up liking the girl and being sad they didn't want a real relationship. But that doesn't make them an asshole. If someone is honest, can't fault them for that.